So whether we like it or not, the current view is that we must enable the economy to reopen. And what's happening today is that there are three sets of actions being taken. There are these guidelines. For example, McDonald's has issued a 59-page manual, a set of best practices. CDC has guidelines. So businesses are expected to internalize these and observe them, right? Then we have a number of contact tracing initiatives, right? So whether it is COVID Watch, or I was speaking with a friend at UC San Diego yesterday, they have a very extensive program which is campus-wide. Yesterday, Microsoft announced that they will have an app to enable businesses to do that, right? So that's happening. And then the third initiative, or the third set of things, are more policy-based, right? We've seen these three models: herd immunity, enforced quarantine, and hammer and dance, right? Which I'm calling whack-a-mole, right? So, we have all this going on, and some of us may or may not be in agreement with, this. So I personally feel that these are all necessary to help businesses to reopen, but they are not sufficient. For one reason, they all look at the local bubbles. So what can we do now, right? Given this, is there something we can do to help this current situation we are in? There are a lot of known unknowns, and there are some unknown unknowns. So there is a lot of fog. I'm using the metaphor of fog of war, where we have a lot of uncertainty in the environment. We just don't have enough data. We have very high false negative rates, right? The accuracy of COVID-19 tests is suspect, right? We don't know when we will actually have a proven vaccine. So this list is, an abridged list. I'm sure we all have a few things to add to both sides. So under these circumstances, when we have a lot of uncertainty, when there might be, many futures, what can be done? So that is the goal of this webinar today, that there is progress on testing and immunity and science and all that. So everything today is kind of tactical. Is there a strategy which is more than or goes beyond these tactics? Can we have a larger vision and evolve systems that will help us move forward? There is this essential trust triangle that we have been using for decades. It's this triangulation between an issuer, such as a bank, a person, a holder, a subscriber like myself, and a merchant like Starbucks, right? It has helped us transcend trust boundaries. This is the credit card networks and credit card payments, whether the credit card is a physical card or it is in our mobile wallet, right? So the only thing that has changed is the circle on the left. So instead of the bank, the issuer is now a health authority. So in this model, what is being proposed is that the holder, the person, the visitor requests a health certificate. He says, before I go to Starbucks again, I want to assert a claim that I'm healthy. Let me in, right? But, just like a driver's license, where the relying party, Starbucks, is relying on the DMV, that they have done everything required to issue me the credential. Here, we're saying, let's place our trust. The root of trust is the health authority. So it is not big tech, it is the health authority. And they're issuing me a health certificate that enables me to make a claim, a health claim. And that enables the business to make a go, no-go decision. So in practice, what happens is that, Ajay wants to get a health certificate, right? And the health authority might say, here is the set of things you need to do, need to provide me so that I can issue a certificate. So in practice, I generate a test ID from my mobile. This is very important because I'm delegating authentication to the mobile, to the smartphone. Smartphones are authenticating me for every transaction today. Right? So we don't need to recreate an authentication framework. We are delegating authentication to the smartphone. That enables the user to generate a safe pass, an entry pass. So this is we call it a verifiable profile. Okay. So it has an identifier, it has the credential, it has the claim that I'm making, but it doesn't have everything else from the certificate. But it is countersigned by me. I'm digitally signing this claim. I'm digitally signing that yes, the contents are authentic and I'm Ajay, right? Now the merchant can, validate, can verify this claim, and they get a decision from the network, go, no go. Now, different businesses may have a different threshold requirement, right, to issue a go, no go, but they don't get to set the threshold. So, for example, if I'm visiting a senior living facility, the threshold may be really high, say 900 on a scale of 1,000. But if I want to go to a grocery store, it may be 700, 750. This shows the journey of a visitor. So before the visitor can participate in the system, they have to opt in. So it is completely voluntary. They opt in and now they want a certificate. So just like I want a credit card, I go to a bank. Bank says, okay, I want to get your credit score. I want to check your credit score, which is equivalent of saying, hey, I want to know if you've done these tests. The experience is that I show up at a merchant. We both agree to transact, right? So this is happening without us having to do anything, simply because I'm in that proximity and I have chosen to initiate the transaction, just like I've chosen to initiate a credit card transaction. Because I have a certificate, it enables me to present a claim which is encoded as a QR code. It's what I'm presenting, and that enables the business to take a go no go decision. So, for example, if I was tested negative, right, my certificate will allow me to go into most businesses. Right? Now, this is the big picture, the reference architecture. It is done in 3 layers. So first the entities, the invariants, right? So there is the health authority, right? The issuer. There is the visitor, the subscriber, and the merchant. So that trust triangle that we saw earlier is preserved. In addition, we have the test labs that we talked about. And, there is an optional feature, which is contact tracing. So in this case, we're taking, Google, Apple's contact tracing as an entity. This could be, another entity, right? Is the user generates a test ID. We talked about it. So it's the mobile phone which is using the person's private key to generate a test ID, right? So this test ID is strongly tied to the identity of the user, but the identity, the authentication is delegated to the phone, right? So it is trying to avoid the human errors and avoiding, fraud uh, by delegating the authentication to the phone, right? With the health authority, how does it share? Using the same test ID, the encrypted ID. And now that gives me the ability to generate the entry pass, the safe pass for a business. Now there is this additional, layer that we have. This is the trust layer. So because it is using certificates, right? The merchant, when they try and dereference the safe pass, which is digitally signed by me, they get to see that I have a certificate from a certificate authority like VeriSign, right? So it is, ensuring that the assertion that I'm making is actually made by Ajay, right? And it can also validate that the contents have not been tampered with. The contents came from a certificate which was issued by a health authority. So using this TLS, using this secure data exchange protocol on the web that we use today, and using public key, private key infrastructure, we are able to provide privacy and security. This is the our experience that trust must be earned. In our case, the way it works is that it's the health authority which is providing the governance framework. Business is getting the surety layer, and visitor is getting the privacy layer, like we saw in the last chart. Right? But it is the consistency of trust decisions that this infrastructure enables. So wherever you go, it's the same consumer experience. And that's very important. It's this consistent trust decision that enable us to build the trust ecosystem. Mobile wallet is a very useful thing. Google, Apple are enabling this capability that are going to provide it at the operating system level, so it will scale well. The test labs, as more tests become available, will scale. It's the health authority that has to really decide to do it like this. Once they decide, there is some work at that end. Every other piece is easy to do. It's already there. I want to thank everyone for for your time. And there is this construct like utopia, protopia. So this is a protopian attempt for a better future that can help reopen business. And Bill Gates used to say, business at the speed of thought. This could enable business to reopen at the speed of trust. So if we can take the friction out of trust decisions, we can accelerate the reopening of business. Thank you.